Good morning, Year 5. Today is Thursday, the 28th of January, and your learning objective today is to identify properties of 3D shapes. Also, we will be having quite a large focus on some reasoning and problem solving around 3D shapes. When we talk about the properties of shapes, we talk about these three particular parts. So we have faces, vertices, and edges. Okay, sometimes if we look at the image here, the vertices, sometimes a good way to think about that is the pointy parts of the 3D shape. We've got the faces, so sometimes you might have a flat face or a curved face, and the edges here. Again, you could have straight or curved edges. All right. Okay, so this first shape here, 3D shape, we have is the cone. So remember thinking about those three properties. So we've got two faces, so the bottom of the 3D shape here, circle, made by the circle, and then imagine this part unfolded. So we have two faces. We have one edge running all the way around the bottom and one vertices at the top. Next shape, we've got a cylinder. So thinking about the number of faces, we've got two circles there at the bottom and then one face running around, joining them together almost like a tube. So we've got three faces, two edges, the first edge around the top. Sorry, very neat, not very neat drawing there. And again, imagine if we could see through that, it would be one at the bottom as well. And there are no vertices to this 3D shape. So the sphere, we have one face, one complete face, and one edge and no vertices for this one. And here we have a square-based pyramid at the bottom there. We've got that first face, which is square. It could also be triangular shaped, so you'd have a tetrahedron or a triangular-based pyramid. So let's work through. We've got five faces, so we've got this. Imagine thinking about those nets from the other day. That's a really good way to be able to count the faces. So we've got the base square at the bottom there, and then we have the four sides coming up to form so that their point comes together at the top there. Okay, so we've got 8 edges this time. So we've got the 4 at the bottom there. And then remember, you've got this, each side has 2. So we've got 2, 4, 6, and 8 coming round. So altogether, 8 edges. And then we've got the 5 vertices. So we've got the 4 edges, the 4 corners, sorry, giving you the pointy parts, and at the top here as well. Okay, and here we have the cube. Remember the difference between a cube and a cuboid? Cube is made up of squares, 6 squares of all the same sides, and the cuboid is made up of 4 rectangles and 2 squares. So imagine folding this cube out. That's a really good way to help you figure out the number of faces, the edges, and the vertices. If you have something physically in front of you as well, that can also help you. It doesn't have to be a perfect cube like this. It could be a dice or a box or something like that at home that could help you really visualize this. Okay, next up we've got our triangular prism. Remember, a prism means it's the same. If you were to cut through that, it would be the same each time. This one's a triangular prism because the face at the either end is a triangle. We've looked at pentagonal prisms, hexagonal prisms, octagonal prisms, depending on whatever 2D shape is making up almost the top and bottom of this prism here. So let's look at the properties of it. We've got 5 faces, so the 2 triangles and then the 3 rectangles, the 5 faces, 9 edges, and the 6 vertices. We mentioned this one before. We've got the tetrahedron or triangular-based pyramid. We've got 4 bases, 6 edges, and 4 vertices for this one. Again, imagine unfolding it so you can see the net. It really helps, especially counting the edges and the vertices as well. So here we've got the cuboid. You'll notice the properties are exactly the same as the cube, we've got 6 faces, 12 edges and 8 vertices. The only difference being that the faces are made up of different 2D shapes. So the cube is made up of 4 squares. Here we've got the cuboid made up of 2 squares and 4 rectangles around. Complete the chart using the knowledge of 3D shapes. So along the bottom here, we've got 4 shapes down here, and then we've also got the properties of those shapes. So it's almost like a process of elimination, looking for clues in order to fill them in. So we've got to put the correct name here and pop in the image of which one we think it is. Okay, this slide shows us the first one was the cube. We've got the image of the cube there. The dotted lines at the back here, you'll notice here, just imagining that that shape is see-through, so you can really see the edges and the vertices clearly. Okay, we've got the square base pyramid, the cylinder, and the triangular prism. Okay, just a little bit of fluency work now. Count and name the 2D shapes in this net. So look carefully at the shapes. We can see some squares and some rectangles here. How many of each do we have? So first of all, we've got 2 squares, which we can see here, squares. And then we've got 4 rectangles as well. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it says, match the net to the correct 3D shape. So imagine folding the sides up, first of all, then this side, and this square forming on the top to form the 3D shape. Which 3D shape would it make? Have a little think. It would be the cuboid here. Okay, we've actually got 2 cuboids here. Okay, we've got another one here, but the shapes of them are much larger. This area here, that's why it would be that middle cuboid there. Which 3D shape does the statement describe? So my base is an octagon. Remember, octagon having 8 sides. I also have 8 sides, which are triangles. So imagine each one of those sides at the base, each one of those sides has a triangle attached. Imagine those triangles folding up and touching at the top to create one vertices at the top. So we would have an octagonal pyramid. If I had an octagon at one side, an octagon at the other, I would have an octagonal prism. Okay. Match the faces to the correct 3D shape. So we've got 5 rectangular faces, 6 triangular faces, and 2 square faces. So the shapes that they could be in a hexagonal pyramid, so a hexagon at the bottom with 6 triangles folding up to create the vertices at the top, a cuboid, or a pentagonal prism. Pentagonal prism, meaning that we've got 2 pentagons at the side and then the rectangles forming that prism in the middle. So we've got the 5 rectangular faces, matches with the pentagonal prism. That key part there, the 5, that's a big clue. We've got 6 triangular faces, the hexagonal pyramid, and then we've got 2 square faces, okay, the cuboid, at either end of the cuboid there. Okay, a bit of problem solving. This is one shape from the net of a 3D shape. Name 3 3D shapes you could create. List the other shapes you would need to complete the shape. So straight away, first one springs to mind is a cube. Okay, but can you think of any others where you would use a square? Have a think. So we could have a cube. The net would need 5 more identical squares. We could have a square base pyramid. The net would need 4 triangles. Or you could have a cuboid. The net would need 1 more identical square and 4 identical rectangles. Some reasoning now. Which of these 3D shapes could cast this shadow? So we've got a square base pyramid, hexagonal prism, or a pentagonal prism? So we've got two prisms and one pyramid. Which one do you think would cast this shadow? So, square-base pyramid, the clues in the name there, the pyramid, we've got that pyramid shape of the shadow being cast there. Because whenever you have an explanation question, you can't just say the answer without explaining why. So the square-base pyramid, because it's the only shape that has triangular faces. All of the other shapes, the hexagonal prism is made up of two hexagons and rectangles. The pentagonal prism made up of two pentagons and rectangles. Okay, so that is the only one that has a triangular face. And some more reasoning here. Considering the properties of shapes below, which is the odd one out? Explain your answer. So as long as you can fully explain your answer, then you will be fine. So let's just figure out what these shapes are first of all. So here I'm looking at the base of this pyramid so I can figure out how many sides it has. So you can see you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know that it's an octagonal pyramid. Here I've got a prism. I'm looking at the two bases here, the two ends of the prism, to see what it is, and it's 5. So I've got a pentagonal prism. And the last one here, we've got a triangular prism. So they're all prisms. So we've only got two prisms and one pyramid. That could be a difference. Have a look to see if you can see any other reasons to say which one is the odd one out. So we could say the pentagonal prism because other shapes have some triangular faces. So here we are saying this middle one is the odd one out because the other two shapes have triangular faces. You could have also said the octagonal base pyramid because the other shapes are prisms. Your task today is to complete the worksheet for your group and upload it. I would strongly suggest that you have the PowerPoint open so that you can see some of the spelling because we need that to be accurate, and just to give you a reminder of the different shapes and their names and their properties because there's a lot to remember. Okay, good luck boys and girls, looking forward to seeing that work.